Heartbreak is one of life's most painful experiences. Whether it's a romantic relationship that ends abruptly, a betrayal from someone you considered a close friend, or even a family member's unthinkable actions, the pain cuts deep. It shakes you to your very core, leaving you questioning everything about the relationship, the trust you gave, and sometimes even your own judgment. You feel vulnerable, exposed, and lost in the waves of emotion that come with heartbreak. In the midst of this pain, there's a common temptation that arises: the desire for revenge. When you've been wronged, the urge to make the person who hurt you feel the same anguish you're going through can seem all-consuming. You may fantasize about ways to make them regret their actions or even wish for their downfall, thinking that somehow when they hurt as you have, your pain will dissipate. But here's the truth no one wants to hear. Revenge doesn't heal you. In fact, it chains you to the person who hurt you, keeping you entangled in their grip. Stoic philosophers like Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, and Seneca knew this. They taught that true freedom doesn't lie in seeking vengeance. It lies in mastering your own emotions and understanding that how you react to what others do to you is the only thing you can control. The Stoic approach to healing after heartbreak teaches you to transform pain into power, to find peace within yourself instead of relying on someone else's apology or regret. It's about becoming someone who is unshaken by life's inevitable challenges. Let's explore these principles in depth. Lesson 1. Master your emotions, the path to freedom. When you experience heartbreak, your emotions can feel overwhelming: anger, sadness, betrayal, frustration, and a deep sense of confusion. These emotions can cloud your judgment and lead you to make decisions that you'll regret later. The desire to lash out, to seek revenge, or to hurt the person who caused you pain may be strong, but the Stoics understood that the most important thing you can do in these moments is to maintain control over your emotions. By doing so, you regain your power. The Stoics believed that our external circumstances, including the actions of others, are beyond our control. The only thing we truly have control over is our response to those circumstances. Marcus Aurelius famously wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." In these words, he's reminding us that how we choose to respond to life's challenges is what defines us, not the challenges themselves. Let's break this down more practically. Heartbreak, betrayal, and loss are events outside your control. What someone does to you, whether they abandon you, betray your trust, or treat you unfairly, is not something you can change, but how you react to those events. That is where your power lies. You have the power to decide whether you will allow those actions to control you emotionally or whether you will rise above them. The first step in emotional mastery is simply becoming aware of your emotional reactions. The next time you feel the sting of betrayal or loss, take a moment to pause. Breathe deeply. Instead of letting your emotions take over and acting impulsively, consciously choose your response. Ask yourself, what is this emotion trying to tell me? How can I respond in a way that aligns with my values and my long-term peace? It's easy to get caught up in the moment and act on impulse. But the Stoics taught that responding in anger, bitterness, or sadness will only perpetuate the pain and give the other person control over your emotional state. Instead of letting your emotions run wild, turn them inward for reflection and action. Every time you feel that emotional fire rise within you, stop. Is this reaction going to help you heal, or is it simply adding fuel to the fire of your suffering? The Stoic philosopher Epictetus said it best: "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." The heartbreak you feel is a result of someone else's actions, but your response is entirely within your control. By mastering your emotions, you reclaim the power that was taken from you. You become unshaken, no longer at the mercy of someone else's choices. To do this consistently, it's essential to practice emotional discipline. Think of emotional control as a muscle. It takes regular exercise to strengthen it. The more you practice pausing, reflecting, and choosing a measured response, the easier it becomes over time. As you continue to master your emotions, you will find that you are no longer at the mercy of others' actions. Your peace becomes your own. Lesson 2. Revenge doesn't heal, it consumes. When you've been hurt, the thought of revenge can seem tempting. You might think that getting back at the person who betrayed you will give you some sense of justice, some satisfaction. It may seem like the scales of justice will finally be balanced if you can make them suffer as you have. But here's the truth: revenge is not the answer. It doesn't heal your wounds, it feeds them, keeping you trapped in the cycle of pain. The Stoic philosophers warned against the destructive nature of revenge. Seneca in particular emphasized that revenge does not punish the person who hurt you, it punishes you. No man is free who is not master of himself, Seneca wrote. When you seek revenge, you allow the person who hurt you to control your thoughts, emotions, and actions. Instead of freeing yourself from their grip, you place yourself under their control. Your focus shifts from healing and moving forward to planning and executing retribution, and in doing so, you prolong your suffering. Think about it. Even if you successfully get revenge, if you hurt the person who hurt you, does it erase the pain? Does it make you feel better in the long run? The pain of betrayal or heartbreak isn't erased by vengeance. It's only compounded. Revenge is fleeting. It gives you a temporary sense of satisfaction, but it doesn't bring lasting peace or closure. In fact, it often leads to regret and even more bitterness. The Stoic approach to handling betrayal is not through revenge, but through detachment. Instead of reacting with anger or retribution, the Stoics taught us to rise above the situation. True strength lies not in seeking revenge, but in walking away from the situation with dignity and peace of mind. By choosing not to engage in petty retaliation, you free yourself from the grip of negative emotions. The Stoics believed that the ultimate form of revenge is indifference. Not indifference as in being apathetic or cold, but as in letting go of the need for the other person to acknowledge your pain or regret their actions. When you choose indifference, you reclaim your emotional freedom. You stop being ruled by the actions of someone who doesn't deserve your attention or energy. This doesn't mean that you forgive and forget everything right away. But it does mean that you stop allowing their actions to dictate your happiness or emotional state. Revenge keeps you locked in the past, but indifference allows you to move forward. By not reacting to the person who hurt you, you not only take back control of your peace, but you also show them that they never had the power to break you. Lesson 3. Turn pain into power. When you experience heartbreak, it's easy to feel as though the world is against you. Pain can seem like an insurmountable wall that leaves you feeling powerless. But here's the truth that the Stoics understood deeply. Pain is not your enemy. Pain can be your greatest teacher. In fact, it can be the very thing that propels you toward growth, strength, and wisdom. Marcus Aurelius taught that the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. In other words, the obstacles you face, the pain, the heartbreak, the betrayal, are not things to avoid. They are opportunities for growth. The very thing that breaks you can also be the thing that makes you stronger. Instead of resisting the pain, what if you leaned into it? What if you embraced the discomfort and used it to propel yourself forward? The Stoics didn't believe in avoiding pain or pretending it doesn't exist. Instead, they believed that you could learn from it and use it to become a better, stronger person. The key to turning pain into power is reflection. Ask yourself, what can I learn from this experience? What is this pain teaching me? Pain has valuable lessons to offer about who you are, what your boundaries are, and what you truly need from relationships. By reflecting on these lessons, you begin to take control of the situation. Instead of being a victim of your emotions, you become a student of them. One of the most powerful Stoic practices is the concept of amor fati, the love of fate. It's the idea that you don't just accept what happens to you, you embrace it, even the difficult parts. When you approach life's challenges with this mindset, you begin to see pain as an opportunity to grow, rather than something to be avoided or feared. When you choose to turn your pain into fuel for growth, you begin to move forward. You channel your energy into productive outlets, whether that's pursuing new goals, developing new skills, or simply taking care of yourself. The more you focus on your personal growth, the less power the pain has over you. You become someone who doesn't just survive hardship, but thrives because of it. Lesson 4. Mastering indifference, the true power. One of the most difficult challenges after heartbreak is learning to master your emotional responses. It's easy to react with anger, resentment, or sadness. But the Stoics taught that true power lies not in reacting, but in remaining emotionally detached. This doesn't mean being apathetic or indifferent to the world around you. It means refusing to let the actions of others disturb your inner peace. The Stoics called this emotional mastery apatheia. It's a state of inner tranquility where external events no longer have the power to upset your emotional equilibrium. When someone insults you or betrays you, instead of reacting impulsively, you remain calm and unshaken. This isn't about suppressing emotions. It's about learning to respond with emotional restraint. When you master indifference, you create an emotional shield that protects your peace. Imagine someone insults you or betrays your trust. Instead of reacting with anger or bitterness, you respond with calmness. You choose not to engage in their drama, not because you don't care, but because you recognize that their behavior doesn't define you. It's their issue, not yours. The more you practice indifference, the more power you gain. Your silence and calm become an impenetrable shield. By not reacting to provocations, you deny the other person the satisfaction of seeing you upset or disturbed. In this way, you take back control of your emotional state and demonstrate strength. Lesson 5. Build resilience through adversity. Heartbreak can feel like an emotional earthquake, shaking everything you thought you knew about love, trust, and your own worth. In these moments, it's easy to believe that the pain you're experiencing will break you. But the Stoics viewed adversity as a powerful teacher, something that could refine and strengthen you if you allowed it. In fact, they saw challenges not as something to avoid, but as a necessary part of growth. Seneca, one of the most renowned Stoic philosophers, once said, "Difficulties strengthen the mind as labor does the body." Think about that for a second. Just like physical muscles grow stronger after being put under strain, your mental and emotional resilience is forged in the fire of hardship. Heartbreak is no different. While it may feel like the end of something meaningful, it's actually an opportunity to forge a stronger, more resilient version of yourself. Resilience is not something you are born with. It's something you develop through experience and deliberate practice. The Stoics believed in what's called prohairesis, which means the ability to choose how to respond to external events. You can't control the heartbreak or the betrayal, but you can choose how you will respond to it. Will you let it defeat you, or will you use it as fuel to grow stronger? One powerful Stoic practice is the concept of premeditatio malorum, or the premeditation of evils. This practice involves visualizing the worst-case scenario and mentally preparing for it. The Stoics believed that by contemplating hardship before it occurs, we lessen its impact when it actually happens. When you apply this to heartbreak, think about the worst that could happen. What if they break your heart? What if they betray you? By mentally rehearsing these situations ahead of time, you reduce the power that these events have over your emotional state. You are mentally prepared to weather the storm. By developing emotional resilience, you can weather the pain of heartbreak without losing yourself. You build strength by choosing to respond to pain with growth, rather than sinking into despair. And as you continue on this path, you begin to realize that no amount of heartbreak or difficulty can truly defeat you unless you let it. Resilience is not about being unaffected by pain. It's about allowing the pain to shape you into someone who can handle anything life throws your way. Embrace the lessons that come from adversity. Let them become the foundation upon which you build your strength, wisdom, and character. Lesson 6. Accept what you cannot change. One of the hardest parts of heartbreak is the feeling that life is unfair, that things should have turned out differently, or that you were wronged in some way. It's easy to fall into the trap of asking, "Why me?" or "Why did this happen?" The Stoics would tell you that the first step in healing is to acknowledge and accept that there are things beyond your control. In the Enchiridion, Epictetus, a Stoic philosopher, wrote, "Some things are up to us, and some things are not up to us." He emphasized that the key to peace and serenity is recognizing the distinction between what you can control and what you cannot. Heartbreak, betrayal, and loss fall into the category of things you cannot control. These are external events, and no amount of wishing, begging, or hoping can change the actions of others. Here's the powerful truth. The pain you're feeling is not the problem. It's your attachment to the belief that things should be different that prolongs your suffering. The Stoics believe that suffering arises when we resist reality and try to impose our will on things beyond our control. The reality is that people can, and sometimes will, hurt us. They will betray our trust, disappoint us, and leave us feeling empty. This is an unavoidable part of life. What you can control, however, is your acceptance of this reality. By accepting that people will make mistakes and relationships will end, you free yourself from the burden of resentment. Instead of constantly replaying the should have or could have scenarios in your mind, you learn to focus on the present moment and how you can act with wisdom moving forward. To accept what you cannot change is to take back your personal power. It's a form of emotional liberation. Rather than letting your heartbreak consume you with questions of why things didn't work out, shift your focus to what you can control: your response, your actions, and your future. You can choose how to heal, what lessons to take away, and how to move forward. Acceptance of what cannot be changed is the path to emotional peace. This doesn't mean that you will never feel sadness or pain. It simply means that you choose not to dwell in those feelings forever. By acknowledging that you cannot control others' actions, you relinquish the need to change them, and in doing so, you release yourself from the emotional chains of regret and resentment. Lesson 7. Cultivate a life focused on inner strength. The Stoics taught that the most important thing in life is not external success, wealth, or even relationships. It's your character, your integrity, and your ability to maintain inner peace regardless of external circumstances. After heartbreak, it's easy to lose yourself in the pain and feel like everything is falling apart. But Stoic philosophy offers an antidote. Focus on cultivating inner strength. When you strengthen your character, you are not easily swayed by life's challenges, including the heartache you're experiencing now. The Stoics believe that a virtuous life is a life aligned with wisdom, justice, courage, and moderation. When you focus on developing these virtues within yourself, you build a foundation of inner strength that no one can take away. Heartbreak becomes a challenge to practice resilience, courage, and wisdom. Take Marcus Aurelius, for example. As the Roman emperor, he faced many personal tragedies, including the loss of loved ones, the stress of ruling an empire, and constant battles. Yet in his meditations, he often writes about finding peace through self-mastery and focusing on what is within his control. He reminds himself and us that the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. After a heartbreak, you have an opportunity to deepen your understanding of who you are and what you want out of life. Instead of looking outward for validation or answers, look inward. Strengthen your resolve to live a life that reflects your highest values. If you find that your sense of worth was tied to another person, use this experience as an opportunity to reconnect with your own inherent value. Focus on what you can control, which is not the actions of others, but your own character. By cultivating a life centered on inner strength, you learn to rely on yourself for happiness. This is not about becoming cold or detached from others. Rather, it's about developing the ability to stand tall and unwavering in the face of life's challenges. You become someone who is not easily shaken by external circumstances, because your sense of self-worth is rooted in your internal character, not in the approval or actions of others. Focus on building a life that reflects who you truly are, not who you were in a relationship. Use this period of heartache to rediscover your passions, your goals, and your strengths. Each day spent strengthening your character is one step closer to healing and rebuilding. Why? Conclusion. Heartbreak is a painful reality of life, but the Stoics remind us that it doesn't have to define us. Through emotional mastery, the rejection of revenge, the transformation of pain into power, acceptance of what cannot be changed, and the cultivation of inner strength, we have the tools to heal and emerge even stronger than before. Life is filled with challenges, but it's how we respond to those challenges that ultimately defines our journey. By embracing the Stoic path, we learn not to be victims of our circumstances, but masters of ourselves, capable of rising above even the deepest pain.